Hey, how's it going? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're all well. Um, Today I'm going to be taking the free range slacks by Sohow7, and I'm going to be changing them into shorts with an elastic back and a zipper fly front. I think I keep saying button fly just because that rolls off the tongue. It's zipper fly. I'm not doing a button fly. And here's the original pattern. I always take these little skinny pieces to the front so I don't lose them. If you've been kind of interested in this pattern and you're kind of like, I don't know about that. Like, I would look at other pictures of it because I feel like this picture it's super cute. But it doesn't show it in all its greatness. Hi, V Castro, how's it going? And it also comes in more sizes than it might appear because there are some, like, this goes up to size 20, but I'm not, it might go up further now, I'm not sure, but there are some really great pictures of more sizes. So I'm kind of distracted, sorry, I'm not like explaining all that well, but I've made 3 pairs of these and I wear the heck out of them. I initially was like, I'm gonna make these as like my secret pajama pants to wear around the house. They ended up being so nice that I wear them all everywhere, and I just love them because I've made them in like a heavier linen cotton canvas. I've made them in this like really lightweight kind of a chambray. These are inside out. I wear the heck out of these things, and then I have a pair that are kind of like an open weave. I want to say like a linen cotton that are really soft. Hey Barbara, hey Megan. So I love them, and oh, that's Vicky. Oh, okay. You don't change it. I don't either. I think if you, I don't know. I can't really tell you how to do that, Vicky. Hi Eliza. Aw, your granddaughter's here. I need to turn my air conditioning up. Just a second. I'll be right back. I can already tell it's too warm. Sorry. So anyway, so I really want some comfy shorts that fit me. I've gained a few pounds in the last year, and I don't really want to go buy shorts because I got you guys, right? So I decided to take these because I feel like also it's a really great demonstration on kind of altering. If you have that pattern that you really like and you're like, could I make this for other things? I think that it's a good demonstration. So you made a new channel, Barbara. I feel like I've done that too. You can change it. If YouTube might give you a little bit like, oh, just so you know, people won't be able to find you right away, like give it 48 hours. But if you're just a user, it doesn't really matter. I'm pretty sure it's either like a little gear. I don't know. I think YouTube is really confusing, and I use it all the time. So I would definitely do it on the desktop, Vicky. So anyway, and I'm also going to try and not do long intros. I'm going to get right into it, and maybe I'll pause in a little bit. We'll take a little break, and we can talk about what's coming up, you know? Just so those folks that are just like, oh my God, this doesn't get started for another half hour. So I have my pants here. I'm going to start with the back. The free range slacks has this clever side panel, which kind of breaks up the pant. It gives it a possibility for different fabrics, or maybe you make these in a stripe and you put the stripe on the cross grain there. You know, there's a lot of, yeah. They end up off, Penny, really? Hi, Patty. You know, one of the good tips to putting these together, I usually don't do this. Like, you see how there's like this paper here? I usually cut one side so that I can perfectly line up the line there. But this one really great tip is to do this. You see this corner here? Cut that like that. And if you do that on all of like all the left-hand corners or whatever, you know, you might have to look. Then it's really easy to see this and line it up. And so, like, you know, if this one, I also cheated on this one too, right? But, you know, you can see all your corners there. It helps. You can see mine's off a little bit. A little bit here and there is okay, you know. So, hey Linda, how's it going? Oh, you're not alone from the UK here. That's awesome. Welcome. So, anyway, so I'm going to start with the back just because, no reason. So, the one probably big change I'll be making is I'm going to make a separate waistband, whereas right now the way that these are constructed, it's a waistband facing. This is the inside of my pants right here. So you can see this is just top stitch. Look at, this is the one thing about this fabric I don't like, that it pulls apart. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. I don't know why. It doesn't do it anywhere else. Look at that. Nowhere else. But these are all top stitched seams, so maybe I should top stitch that. I don't know. That is my top stitch line of my pocket though. It's not even a seam, you guys. So that is one little thing I really hate about this pair. There's not a lot of gathers in this. Look at this. It barely stretches. So I feel like this is also an ideal pair of pants to change to elastic back only, because I'm not really going to be pushing much of this fullness from the front to the back. It's not going to skew the side seam very much. And what I did before the stream yesterday was I tried on these pants. I looked at the side seam, and this panel on the side here, it doesn't straddle the side seam. Not on me, at least. This is kind of, let's see, this is the back, this is the front right here. This actually is kind of my side seam. Hey Rachel. So because you have this panel too, it kind of does make the side seam a little bit more fluid, which is kind of working in our favor here. You don't really want to push a ton of, like if the fronts were really full, you wouldn't want to push all that to the back. You'd have to get rid of some of it and just leave the stuff in the back. Because you're going to have the button fly, it doesn't matter, because you're going to have an opening. You'll be able to get them over your hips even if you take out so much fullness that you can't pull them on. That won't be the case here. It'll be, there really is not much fullness. That is the beauty of these, because I know we all have that like, whoa, elastic pants? That sounds kind of frumpy. It would be if they were really full, but these are not full. They're pretty classy for being a pull-on pant, you know. So so yeah, this is a facing on the waistband, which is pretty hard to see. But there's the facing. There's a seam at the top here, and then it's top stitched down. And so mine's weathered really nicely. It looks really cool. It's kind of a lightweight denim. Hi, Malin. Ah, Vicky with no E. Nice. Now you can teach all of us how to do it. You're our expert now. I did do the optional back pockets on here. I like pockets. I mean, you know, they're really handy. I think the mods I did to these pants were I made the hand pockets curved. I also made them a lot shorter. They're pretty dramatic. And and I made the rise 3/4 of an inch lower. Very classic for me to do that. It looks like I did it front and back, that 3/4 of an inch. Sometimes I'm only doing it on the front, so just depends. What else would I gotta say about these? I'm going to use, I really just brought these so I remembered how they were constructed and there were no surprises. But I'm gonna use probably the length of the inseam of these shorts here. So the lighting is just terrible. I worked for so long on the lighting today and I just can't fix it. These dark fabrics, it doesn't like it. But probably the circumference of the hem on these. So that's my plan. I don't even wear these. Did you hear that? Chris Day! It's nice to see you. Hey Ray, hey Tanya. Christy, next month we were talking about doing some undergarments. I'm definitely doing some underwear. You were a big part of that inspiration. I know it took me a year to get there. So, all right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer my pattern to this manila paper. And, oh, I don't have any pattern weights because I'm using the weight a light down. I need a pattern weight. Or two. Oh, here we go. No matter how much you prep, there's always something. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to transfer. Just don't forget your grain line if you do something like this. And if you can't find the grain line, fold your pant in half and line up your hem. And that fold line's your grain line. Simple as that. I think this is the size 12 that I'm making. So I'm just using a tracing wheel, this kind of tracing wheel, not the other kind. This is the really spiky kind for pattern drafting. And it transfers holes to the paper that I can see really clearly. And I want my grain line. And I want my pocket marks. I always do a little, and here's my, that's the, I think this is not just for the pocket. Let's see, there and there, just like that. All right. I don't really need those. I don't think I need anything else. I just need the side pant here. So what are you guys making? What are you guys working on? Boy, come on. Do some straight stuff, please. I think this pattern, I will say the most confusing part about this pattern is keeping this side panel straight. So if you're cutting and sewing these pants, you can use this sewing tutorial for the most part for these, but I have cut and sewn these on camera, and you can look for that tutorial if you need as the pants. Oops. Yeah, I can do that in a straight line. But definitely keep this pattern piece clipped to your cut pieces, because it's really confusing. You can confuse the top from the bottom and the front from the back. If you put it in upside down or backwards, I actually don't think it's going to be a big deal. But you know, you might be a little bit worried. So, and it says mark this end as the top. So they know, she knows that this would be a point to be a little confused. I'll put this little notch, this double notch here. These double notches are too close together, but that is your indication for that. Oh, I've heard of that Rhapsody dress. Yeah, me too, Christy. Obviously, I'm wearing my chore dress that I just made to work, right? Oh, yeah. You both are making the Rhapsody dress. I love it. Is there a sew along, or did it just come out? Is that why you guys are both making it? That's so funny. You're knitting a sock and sewing masks. Alright, so I always say this, I don't normally draft with Sharpie, but so you can see it, I'm going to trace my lines. Normally I would just leave them. Oh, I also don't do it sideways like this. Whoop. Here's my pocket. Oh, a re-release. Yeah, what is this chiffon business? We talked a lot about that. Like, what a weird way to categorize that fabric. You know? It'd be like someone saying, get a nice twill. But, you know, denim twill is a weave. It's not a fabric, but we use it like, we say it like that, you know? All right, this is the top. You have to draft up from hips to waist. Do you mean you have to go up a size to the waist, Christy? And you don't know what to do with this? You can do the same thing. I don't think this grades in width, right? Let's look at it. Oh, cool. Gosh, you guys are really on this Rhapsody. I need to check this out. Why aren't you guys telling me, hey, we all want to make the Rhapsody? There's not much of a grade here. I would just follow their grade here. You know, just grade out, same exact thing. The other thing you can do, you know, but I think you'll want this side panel, is you can just tape, you know, overlap these, the seam allowance, and do it together. Yeah, and you probably would want to add whatever you want because there isn't a whole lot of fullness. So, all right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this facing width here, and I'm just going to take off the finished width. What's the seam allowance on this? How many? If you guys had a quarter for every time I asked what's the seam allowance on this pattern. I want it right here. Five eighths and 3/8. I wonder where it's 3/8. I'm gonna think that the waist is 5/8. All right. One size larger at the waist. Yeah, I would do the exact same thing that you're doing for the rest. Just taper it to that size that you want. Because you're only doing one size larger, Christy, you're probably not going to run into any issues with worrying about if the seams are going to still match. Because the grade between sizes is so small, but those small amounts add up, right? They make a big deal. So you're talking about like going 1/8 of an inch out on that side panel at the waist there. So I don't think you even need to walk it and make sure. I think it's fine. If you were going from the smallest to the largest size, then I would say you might want to walk that and make sure you don't have some weird junctures. But 1 or 2 sizes, I think it'll be pretty easy. I think you'd really like these pants. But you have a pull-on pant that you like. Which one is it that you've made a couple times? Because it looks really cute, and I can't think of what it is. There's a few out there that are just really great. All right, so this is a 3-inch, almost 3-inch facing, minus 1 1/4 inch. So that makes it 1 5/8, which is about right because the elastic is 1.5 inches wide. So she doesn't give much room. So we're just going to take off 1 5/8. I'm just going to take off 1.5 inches actually. Yeah, of course. There's fuzzy on my. I think this is from you. Isn't that funny? All right, so now that's all I need to do. I only take off the finished amount because I still need the seam allowance that is on the pattern for that. Otherwise, what you'd be doing if you took this entire facing off, you would need to add back the seam allowance for this pattern. And remember, this one has seam allowance on this one here to turn under like that, and seam allowance here. So we're just taking off that finished width. That's it. And then we'll make the waistband 1.5 inches wide, but you could make it any width that you want at this point once you've removed the waistband amount to there. Now you have your waistline right there. All right, so now we just need to figure out our hem, our inseam and our hem circumference. So like I said, I'm going to look at these two here, and I'm just going to measure from the rise to the hem. So this one's 4 3/4. This one's pretty short. I don't want that one. I like that one when I'm standing. I don't like that one when I'm sitting. You know what I mean? And this one's 8. So I think I might go like a little shorter. And then let's look at the circumference. I threw these on the like ground before I left. Like they fell off. I didn't throw them on the ground. I threw them on the table and they fell. And now they're covered with everything. All right, so, oh, these are also stretchy. So let's make sure they're totally relaxed. And that's an 11-inch circumference. You could measure from the front and then the back, but it doesn't matter. We have this side panel, right? Hey, Terry, how's it going? Oh. Press their feet half off today. Cool. Is JSYK mean just so you know? You're so hip, Terry. Look at the sewing on here. I see some prime torquing. Can you see that? See? Happens and ready to wear. I love these actually. These are great. This Toad & Company, they actually make some pretty good fitting clothes for women. My husband gets a pro deal there through his company, so one time I ordered a couple things when we moved here. The pattern, making the free range slacks into shorts, Jan, but these are just shorts I own. I think this is North Face, and those are Toad & Company. I copied these. These are the shorts I used last year as a tutorial for how to copy a garment. Just so you know. Very clever. All right, so I said 8 was the gray ones, and then 11 was the circumference, right? All right, so we're going to, you see that on there? I'm going to put my seam allowance on here. So I have the correct okay, so here's 8 inches right here. And then you would take this right here and line it up to your grain line here and put it perpendicular. So see, I'm running my ruler along the grain line here, finding this point and making a perpendicular line to that. Now, similarly, if you wanted to just shorten your pants, what if you just wanted to make these zipper fly pants? You wouldn't have to do anything I'm about to do. You can just do what I do to the waist only. Hey, Brookie. Nice. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, these are ready to wear. If you wanted to lengthen and shorten your pants, just draw a parallel line up from your hemline. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad it was helpful. All right, so your hem is always perpendicular to your grain line. All right, so I'm going to use this one to make this one. So let's just cut these out. I need a hem allowance still. And actually, you need to check my circumference too still before I cut that inseam. I actually think it's going to be bigger or about the same as the shorts because the pants aren't slim, but they also aren't really big either. So I think they'll be right about where I want. And I'm going to chop this off too. Alright, let's take these off, cut out our new side. I always recommend using manila paper if you plan on reusing your patterns. You can trace around them, which technically is the proper way to use them. I laugh because if Rayanne were watching, she'd be like, because when I trained her, I was like, never ever cut around the pattern pieces with the rotary knife. And she never did, but she watched me break that rule a lot. All right, so look at this. Is already kind of confusing, right? Like Brooke naturally dyes yarn and sells it, and that's her business name, Sincere Sheep. If you're a knitter or weaver, spinner, most of the stuff I knit, I use her yarn because it's so amazing. She gets small breed, and she can tell you more about it. I'm terrible explaining it, but she works with farms and gets her. She has her own base of yarn. There we go. Ah, Malin, that's awesome. What a great idea. I actually almost made these a patchwork pair of linen, you know. I just notched that. I really wish I wouldn't have notched that like that. I would have put these notches a 1/2 inch apart. But that's how I know that way is up, right? Okay, so let's figure out my hem and my hem circumference. But I'm going to do my front first. Kind of need to. Nice, Kathleen. That's awesome. There's a lot of folks that knit here. I don't know if it's the chicken boots connection or just because we're all so dang crafty. You would be very surprised, Brooke, probably. I actually got out a sweater I want to re-knit because the pattern was so terrible. It was, you know, my owl sweater that I made, the one with the owls going down the center back. They're owl in like a eyelet lace pattern. That I knit that pattern right when it came out, and it was just, she was definitely a novice pattern writer, and the fronts have always been super funky, especially like right here. You know the one I'm talking about, and it's in that cream yarn. And so I love that sweater, and but I really want it to fit, so I might re-knit that. We'll see. Yeah, that's her business name and her website, sinceresheep.com. Yeah, she does some beautiful stuff. So her clubs, I've done her clubs, and they're amazing. She has this made here yarn. Made here? Wait, what's it called? Made here was what I used to call my stuff. What? Sorry, Brookie. Yeah, I'm sure you remember that sweater. I'm sure it pained you to see how it fit me every time, because it pained me. But it was so soft and cozy and pretty crispy. I wore it all the time. It's like one of my only sweaters I have that isn't in your yarn that I wear all the time. Yeah, this was like freehanding this would get me fired. But hey, I'm the boss here. You know, oops. Just move my ruler a little bit. All right, let's see. What other notches do I need here? I don't really need these because I'm going to put my own on. And then we're going to take off this waist spacing. I know it looks like I'm probably not lining up to the line, but I'm actually looking at the dots. That's really what I'm concerned with here. All right. Yeah, the Cormo. Oh, it is Made Here Yarn Club. Okay. Yeah, I love that. That was like one of the only clever things I ever came up with as far as names go. Oops. All right, so just finding my seam line. It's kind of hard on a Sharpie line. I was watching a tutorial yesterday by a person who drafts patterns using Adobe Illustrator because I'm trying to get better at it. And she said something, and I was like, oh, that's a clever way to say that. And it kept running through my head all day. And last night, right before I fell asleep, I'm like, it's wrong. That's why it kept running through my head, because she said, you know, always use like 0.5 point for 0.5 point or 1 point for your weight lines in Illustrator. She was anything thicker starts going into your seam allowance. And I was like, that's a great way to put that. And I was like, that's maybe how I should start phrasing it, that it starts, what should say, going into your seam, seeping into your seam allowance, or spilling into your seam allowance. And I was like, that's not true. What it does is it increases your pattern size and it makes your line inaccurate. And so I couldn't figure out why I kept thinking about it. And then I was like, you know. All right, let's find my 8 inches. But I did appreciate the sentiment, like, yeah, keep your points. And it's good to have that number, so it was still valuable information. All right, so let's see. Like I said, I find the length I want my hem on the inseam. I'm not really talking a lot about pattern drafting terms and things to think about it, but pants are really tricky. We all know how tricky pants are to fit, and thinking of pants with certain 0 points, like points that just can't change, is really key in kind of continuing how they fit if you already really like the way they fit. This is one of those 0 points. Everything you change is going to go from here to here to here. You don't change this point right here if you're going to go this way, or this way. You don't change that point. You don't say, oh, I want an inch longer rise, and you change it here. You don't go out this way. You don't drop it down. If you want your inseam to be longer, you don't change it here. This is a constant right here. Unless you were working on the fit of the front or back rise, this is a 0 point that you don't mess around with. And that's why I use it on the seam line to find my inseam length here, and then I find my hem by lining it up to my grain line. And I'm just lining this up. Now this is not the most perfect way to get a right angle using these little rulers, because this 2 inches isn't really a great gauge, but it'll be fine. So, all right, so now we have this hem, and we need our pocket, and we'll have our seam there. Look how wobbly that is. I promise I can see it's actually that line there, because there's dots in there. There's perforations. All right, so here's our pocket. And so I took 1.5 inches off the bottom. And I wrote done so that I know I'm not telling you, Sarami, to take that 1.5 inches off the next time you make it. I'm telling you I did it already to this pattern piece. Same with their done. That's my little indication to myself. So we're going to trace this pattern piece as well. I still really like these pants. I'm not trying to change them at all. I feel like this is gonna fit somehow on here. Can I get it? Can I get it? What I can do is this. It's kind of a cheesy way to fit it on my paper. I'm going to put this line here right now, since it's off the paper. There we go. And I'm kind of a fan of organic shapes, meaning softer edges and things like that. So that is why I rounded this on my pants. I'll also say, like, if you wanted to do a decorative double needle stitch when you're stitching down your pocket, you're gonna have to make this a curve if you're using one of those twin needles on your machine. Otherwise, you just use 2 stitches and you have to do it twice, because you can't turn a corner on those. All right, I'm just gonna cut this out. Because this is part of our waist. I might leave the angle for shorts. I think shorts are really suited for that. All right. Now let's cut out our fronts. But I don't want to cut that out yet. Did I cut my outseam on those, on the backs? Can't remember. I hope I didn't. Here I am, cutting that outseam. I don't want to cut that outseam yet. Oh, I did. Well, gosh darn it. That's funny. So I need, this here, and you're gonna line that up, line up your side seam. It doesn't really sit well, does it? And we can make it sit better. Okay. Let's smooth that out a little bit. I kind of like that this pocket now will be in the waist seam, because that is one awkward thing about sewing these. It's not like unheard of. You'll see this a lot, but this one, the pocket is actually wraps around. Well, it doesn't wrap around, but it goes up to the seam here where you sew the facing. So there's that, you know? I call it manila, and it is a pattern paper that I get from a pattern supply company. I see a lot of people call it oak tag. I don't know where that term comes from. It might be an East Coast thing versus West Coast thing. So both are accurate though. I've worked with people that call it oak tag. And I think you can get it at that place that Terry mentioned earlier, Waywack. I will say the shipping is almost the same cost as the paper itself for me. It's like $65 to ship it. So now, I might make it curved, Jan. I actually was thinking about that yesterday because I went and grabbed my fly and fly facing from my ginger jeans pattern, because I was like, oh, I'll just use these. And I saw the curved waistband on there. Or is that the one that has the curved waistband, or is it the Ash jeans? Because I like the waistband on the Ash a lot. No, I feel like the gingers are curved. They're just not curved as much. Can't remember. You can curve it. You can just do straight. Doesn't matter. You can get it on Amazon. There you go. Yeah, and so mine is 44 inches wide or 42 inches wide, and it's sitting over my shoulder over this way, and it just stands on the floor. It's really heavy. I like this weight, and I don't know what this weight is. I have used lighter weight before, and it was kind of a pain, but it's totally doable, especially if you're not using them in a like a work setting. And you might find it a little easier and more affordable if you want the lighter weight. It comes in colors too, because the classic way to do pattern drafting when it was all on paper patterns would be like in a bigger house, you would do like a bigger company, you would do green paper for your contrast, blue paper for your lining, red paper for interfacing, and this for the main. I only worked a couple places where I got to use all the colored paper. I loved it. I was like, this is so fun. But it was kind of decadent and a little bit kind of, it felt a little dated. I don't know how else to put it. Like, people were just it was kind of like unnecessary by the time I got there. All right, so now we have our waist here. Wait, we need this guy here. Oops. not dated, it just felt a little old school to do that. So I'm just going to draw a line that is the 1.25 inches wide, because that is the seam allowances. Oh, Carol! That's awesome. Thank you for making a Patreon pledge. That's awesome. I love that little notification. All right, so you can see that there's a dart in this panel here. See, so I can't lay this directly on top of it, because if I lined it up where I can on both ends, there's about 1/4 inch there that it overlaps. Can you see that? So there's a little bit of shaping here, which is nice. Makes them more flattering. So we're just gonna walk it like this. And then when we get down here to this overlap, weight it here. And I'm gonna kind of just gently curve this a little bit and make it a right angle there, just like that. And then let's put our, I'm gonna get rid of this chunk of paper so it doesn't bump up over there. It's always awkward doing pattern drafting under a camera. I don't want to obscure anything, and I can't be over it to see how accurate I am. So, all right. I love all the zip doubles everybody's been sewing and sharing. It's so awesome. I'm loving it. I really wanted to show this one that someone made in DuckTales fabric. It was pretty cute. Look at how off that is. And I think they had a private account, so I couldn't share it. She said I could, but... Alright, so let's make sure we have 8 inches here. And 8 inches here. Yeah. And so we're going to make this point go to this point here. And kind of bend the rules on some of this grain line stuff as we get there, because we've trimmed our 1.5 inch off the waist here, here, and here, all across the top here. That all lines up, and so we're just going. We're going to make this point match to that point over there. You can't even see it. I'm off the table here. See? I'm off the table right here. Here is my point. And what I could do is maybe do a little bit of a right angle here, but not much. Like that. We'll go up a little bit. And I'm just going to try and get there like that. I'm going to get rid of this. Get rid of this. Oops. And then see how we feel about that. Now look at that circumference. That's probably more than 22 inches. It is. So we're good on our leg circumference. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to make it smaller because I actually kind of want a loose leg hole. So there we go. So we just need a hem allowance and to decide for sure if this is the hem line that we want. So let's turn this right side up and look at it this way. These pants, maybe they weren't balanced and that's why they're a little bit off like that. You just never know. Maybe it's how I have been trimming things and I got a little inaccurate like before I even got to this point, like with my original pattern. But that's not a big deal. So you can see we have this nice line here and we know that all of these are going to line up when we sew it together. I'm just kind of looking it over. I think I'm going to make it a tiny bit shorter. And then, sorry, I thought I saw my phone. Oh, okay. My daughter's on her first like solo road trip going to see a friend who moved back to her old home. Yes, last week. And she's the only, this person is the only person she's like quarantined and been social distancing with, like, he's the only like safe person that she can hang out with, like, and so she's gonna go visit her friend, and she's on her first solo road trip. So I was like, is that her? Is she okay? So yeah, I'm gonna take a little bit off, like a 1/2 inch. I'm gonna take a 1/2 inch off this length. It's not much, but you know, when you're sitting down looking at your shorts, like when you're sitting in a chair and you look at your shorts, the length, a 1/2 inch can be kind of the difference, right? Where it hits your muscle on your leg, or the thickness, or whatever, you know. So, all right, and then I'm gonna add 1¼ inch hem. So I've just got my 1¼ inch mark on the ruler right on top of that new line that I just drew. Drawing a parallel line in a really awkward way. Oh, thanks for following. I had to look and see what that was. Marie's cherry blossoms. That's so nice. All right, we can look just at the table now. There we go. All right, I'm going to do that little whoop-de-doo I always do for the hem. Okay, so I'll show you the drawn out way to do it. So I'm going to mark my hem amount, the width I just did my hem. Whoops, this is not right. Let's get rid of this line that we're not using, because I was already looking at it incorrectly. Okay, just like that. Get rid of that. Sorry, I'm probably moving the camera. All right, so then, all right, so this is an 1¼ inch hem allowance. So I'm gonna do an inch with a 1/4 inch turn. So I'm gonna put that mark up here too, right there. So I need this point here to reach there when it's sewn, right? Really, I need it to be about right there because it's gonna turn under, but that's okay. So you put this ruler, I'm lining it up perfectly on this line here. And now I'm gonna slide it to where when the ruler hits this point, this is perfectly straight on here. Here's this point. Now I just draw right there. And I now know, extend this line to there. This line goes to here. And then that will, when it's folded, match. That's how I do that. I'll do it one more time here. 1¼ inch. This one's going to be far more exaggerated. And this one, I have this little bit of a curve here. You don't have to do that. But, hi, Lori. Oh, welcome, welcome. How's it going? You're Canadian living in London. Nice. Yeah, so you don't have to do this. I find that most people won't, right? They're just going to do a straight line straight across, and they would have a pretty sharp point there. I'm not exaggerating. I need to exaggerate it. You know, it would be like that. So now, let's say we sewed the front leg here. This is how your hem would look. This would be your inseam. This would be your hem, and you'd have this point, right? When you're sewing that, I talk about this occasionally, and I'm always trying to stress why I like the right angles, because when you're at the sewing machine, you are not going to hem in a point. If you give yourself this little bit of a wing here, you can hem this in a point. But do you really want this to be a point right here at your inseam? It'd be nice if it was a little softer, right? You're just filling it in a little bit, and that's what I'm doing there. Does that make sense? So it's just an extra step, and I feel like it's worth it because most of the time when you're at your sewing machine, you're going to smooth it out anyway. And why not just do it from the beginning? There we go. So this is my fold line, right? Because that's my finished hem. That's going to meet there. And then that way, by giving myself this is a little different than what I'm talking about here. This curve here, that smooths the hemline. The wing makes it so that when you're sewing this edge up here, it's not too tight to fit there, thus giving yourself torque and binding it up and making it not so easily, right? So 2 different things there. All right, now let's do it on the out seam, which of course I lopped off here. All right, so carry this over to the cut edge like that. This one's not very significant, so we'll probably not have really anything to speak of there. That could be okay. Let's see how this one is. This one might need a little bit, and I'd have to tape the paper back to get it. Now, if you're worried about filling in these lines that accurately, you can always lay this back on here, use a tracing wheel or just a pin and poke holes and make sure that you're getting it in the right spot, because that sometimes is an issue. Here it's not so bad because it's pretty straight piece, but there's been cases where I'm like, oh, I can't guess that in that 1 1/4 inches. I gotta like figure, I gotta really see if it's gonna work. So this one could use a little bit of a wing right here, and the way I can tell is if I put my ruler right there on this line and I look up here about 1 1/4 inches, which is here, it goes off the paper right there. So we'll just give ourselves a little bit of paper, and we'll just do the short at the same time, these 2 spots right here. These are the kind of subtle things that I know it seems like kind of a pain to do, or a little bit extra, or I think I would have told myself a long time ago, only the like professionals need to do that. I don't really need to do that. But I feel like these little tiny subtle things, giving yourself that hem allowance so that it fits when it's folded up, keeps your garment fitting correctly, right? Because what if we just didn't do that and we folded it up? That sewing this edge to up here, it would be binding it in. So, you know, it wouldn't be relaxed and laying flat, and all the work you'd done to make them into shorts wouldn't really be showing very well, you know? So it is worth it. And it's a good practice, you know? Oh, actually, this one goes the other way. Oh, that's hilarious. I don't know why I looked at that wrong. You don't need this. I don't know what I was doing. Such an overachiever sometimes. All right, so this one goes in. So when this one folds up, this is going to poke out when it goes up there. That's what I was seeing. So you're going to shave it off a little. We all have had those hems where we're easing in the hem, those circle hems, you know. Unfortunately, you really can't add or take away for a circle hem. You just gotta, like, there's some sewing tricks to deal with that. All right. I tell you what, doing this on the table is 10 times easier than doing it in a computer program. Oh, thanks, Jan. I wore the heck out of it on a Sunday. My family came over, and didn't I add this here? Wait. Oh, this one's the one that's straight to the front. Okay. I thought I was holding the back for a second there. All right. Now we can do the waistband once we have all these cut. Well, I don't think I have a piece of paper for that. This is one of the more one of the pattern hacks I'm most excited about that we've done. Yeah, right. I feel that way too. I feel like sometimes I'm like, next time I'll deal with that. Like, this is one of those details I would totally say, yeah, if you can't handle adding one more thing to kind of try and figure out, like, you're just like, there's too many unknowns at this point. I really just want to see how I did. I understand that completely. I'm just here to say, at least give yourself that little wing. If you don't do the gentle slope there, at least give yourself this little wing so that when you go to hem it, you don't bind it up the hem of your shorts or pants or whatever you're doing. All right, so I use this removable tape, so it makes it really easy. But I also forgot to put the grain line on here. And so we just go like this. We're gonna put this back on here like that. And then we can put this grain line like this all the way up. Like that. No, this is the wrong ruler. I always use one ruler for up against my Sharpie because ink gets on the dang thing. And then it'll get on everything. All right, back, front, panel, pocket, and then I have a back pocket. I don't really need to change that. The back pocket actually goes into that seam right there, just so you see. It's kind of nice that way because it does cut down one side. You have to turn under. You can see, it goes into the seam there. Doesn't that pocket look like it's a different color under the camera? That's so weird. I wonder if I cut this piece upside down, the fabric, and that's like a sheen that you're only seeing under the camera. Huh. The panel didn't really get a wing. I shaved off a little bit. I didn't put one here, and I just shaved off a little. Just like here, here, and here, and this one got shaved a little. In fact, I didn't even shave it yet. I can still see it there. Hey, Sydney, how's it going? Bye, Tanya. Thanks for coming. Oh, yeah, blouse sleeves. Yeah. Right? Totally, you guys. That's how I feel about learning Illustrator right now. Yesterday I got to a point, and I'm doing so good with my little educational program I've got going for myself with some of this digital stuff that I have wanted to know for more than 20 years, and I'm not joking about that. And nothing's ever worked. I've taken a few Illustrator classes, I've taken other things, but finally there's a lot of the way it's designed now and some of the things I've learned, it's all finally making sense for me. And I've used CAD programs, so they're kind of similar to Illustrator, but different. I'm not a graphic artist. And so I told myself yesterday, I was like, all right, I was starting to get a little frustrated because I was like, why can't I just do this one little tiny thing? And then I was like, you know what? You don't have to. You've already hired someone to do this. You've already gotten this like 3/4 of the way. You just wanted to try. You can let them finish it and maybe ask them. So, right, Ray? I know. I don't understand that. Lighting is so frustrating. If you guys knew what I did today, I have a box light above me today, but it does nothing to this. These are like this cranberry color. Look at my face cam. I cannot get that without blowing out the whole table. Blowing this out so bright, there's no grid. Oh yeah, you got baby kittens. Or I guess that's redundant. You got kittens. Oh. I saw you comment to someone that they get the zoomies. I love that you got 2. Okay, here we are. Where are we here? I want to put a few notches here. Mainly because like this, I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna notch it there, and then I'm going to, don't really need to do these notches, but they're a nice little reinforcement. Those are just my like call outs, so that when I go to cut my whatever I'm making, my eye goes to that and I see that I have a drill hole or a notch that needs to be done. This is my screw punch for this hole here. I know you guys probably don't have one of those, but it is really nice because now I have a hole in the paper. Like that. That is my this way up. And then let's look here. We have this one. See, now the danger of putting just these two notches here is that they're almost in the middle. The smart thing would be really to just use these pocket notches right here. Look at, they're not even in the right spot. So let's just fix those. These notches are already here, and you could not put it together another way if you use these two notches. These are almost in the middle of the piece, so you conceivably could do it upside down, you know, if they were too close to each other. So that's what you got to watch for. In the middle is not always the best spot. Right, Ray? I know, the kitten jealousy is big. Oh, you did? Oh my gosh. That's good. Yeah, you got to wear them out during the day. That's how I feel with Loki. You've never had an indoor pet? Aww. That's so amazing. Yeah. I didn't really cut this very nicely. This is the cheap, hacky way to fix your notches if you've already overcolored them. But I like to get rid of them visually completely because otherwise I may accidentally use them. So I do that. Make sure I trim any of this off if I need to. And now I'm just going to, see, it's already really confusing. I'm just going to use these as my notch here. I can't mistake those directionally. And it's still two notches, right? Like if I were looking at this from a production standpoint, I didn't add a notch because every notch costs money. All right. I know you guys aren't thinking that way, but it's still kind of ingrained in me. So there we go. It's very visually satisfying now. All right, so let's look at our waistband. I'm going to turn that upside down so I can measure it. And let me get a piece of paper. Because I don't think this is big enough. I think what I'm going to do is put a seam at the center back. I like that for stability. I'm kind of curious, how do they do it? Seam. This one is kind of interesting fabric. I don't know. No seam. No seam at all. Oh my gosh. There's a zippered pocket on the back. Do you ever just sit and look at your clothes? Yeah, me either. Alright, let's figure out what our... So for my zipper and zipper fly, if you wanted to draft these, I just took this from the Ginger jeans. If you don't have any zipper fly jeans patterns, you're gonna need a piece. This one is like 7.5 inches along the long side, and then it's about fat 2 inches wide. 2 inches is usually about right. So every notch costs money. Every notch to place when you cut and sew costs money. The fewer the notches, the cheaper the garment. Tiny Kittens Vancouver live stream ferals. Oh my god, that's awesome. So yeah, so you want this about 2 inches wide. This one's a little bit wider, 2.25. And then for the fly shield, you know, this one, same thing. It's 2 inches and 2 inches, so it's 4 inches wide. Down the middle, it's 8 3/4. Down along the long side, it's 9 1/4. So you can just make this 9 1/4 by 4 inches wide, and then make a 1/2 inch up little angle here. This angle is purely just so that your it's just a little bit more ergonomic with how it functions inside your pants. But if you start looking at zipper flies, and the way they're constructed, you'll see that this is as variable as you want. Same with this right here. So you just need something that's going to cover your zipper. This one's pretty long. So, all right. And it'll work for this one because this has a pretty long rise. See that? This is basically how big the rise will be. Like that. But you know, it's not really the right shape, so maybe I should fix that. This one will stick out from the pants like that. All right, but let's do some measuring. I'll do it the old school. I'll draw this out. I need a Sharpie pencil. And then now this notch is almost in the middle. Yeah. All right, so measure on your seam line what your front waist is, because your casing, your waistband needs to be the exact same measurement as the entire seam it's going to be sewn to. It's not any bigger or smaller just because you're doing the elastic. That is already accounted for in this pattern. So. Yeah, oh gosh, I know that one, Sydney. Where are the cats? Where are the cats? Probably constantly. Yeah, I would definitely, I've raised a lot of cats, and some of the things I feel like have always helped is always doing the exact same noise when you want to call them. And one of the things I do with my cats is I do this if they're nearby, and then they always run over because they want to be petted. This usually means I'm going to pet them the way they want, and they can hear that, this little noise, they like it. And then with my older cat, because I've had him a while, the other one I never needed to do this with, so he doesn't really know this trick. If I want him to come, like at all costs, like we are leaving town today, dude, and you're coming with us, or you need to go to the vet, or, you know, there's a fire and I need you to come right now. I have one little bowl that we've always fed him wet food, and he hardly ever gets wet food, and I tap the side of it with a spoon. And that sound alone, like even to this day, I can go out my back door, even if there's no wet food in that, and he'll come. So, which has been really handy lately because he's going outside for the first time in years of his own volition, and he's loving it. But I can't get him in at night. He's out there for like 12 hours a day, 105 degrees. He doesn't want to come in. And then none of my cats like treats. So, yeah, the yummy wet food, totally. Yep, and a little wadded up piece of paper and a cardboard box, best. All right, so now you're going to measure your front waist. And now remember, you're going to have a fly shield. Let's see, we can look at how these are constructed. Let's get a little primer here. So this right here is this piece we're looking at right here on the fold. So that's folded, so you can see it in here, right here. See that? Sorry, it's so dark. And but this is on this line right here. This side on the left, the fly goes up to the center front seam right there. So basically you're going to need your front measurements, and on your right front plus the fly extension, and then you need your back. And this, well, we need a side panel. Oh look, these have a side panel. Oh my gosh, look at that. All the things I'm learning with those shorts. All right. So let's figure out our front measurement, which for me is 9 1/4. Plus, I say plus when I don't want to say figure out what 1/16 plus 1/4 is. My shield is 2 inches wide finished. So my right front will be 11 1/4 plus, my left front will be 9 1/4 plus. And then we need our back and our side. And we can just measure, it doesn't matter, you can just measure this all as one or as individuals. I'm going to do them as individuals so I can give myself some notches. Oops, I need 5/8, not 1/4. Measure it on the seam line. That's 4 1/8. Wait, yep. And do it again one more time. Now remember also that this is on the half, right? So I'm only doing 1/2 of the whole garment. except that I showed you that the fronts will be different from each other. So this is 7. Oof, it's almost 7 3/4. I'll just put a minus there. All right. Here's our piece of paper. And then reverse, center back and side. All right. So let's see if I can do half of my waistband on this piece here. Feather wand. Totally. I think it's really funny, like, what will get my cats going. Like, one of my cats, like, if a leaf moves in the yard, he is, like, he's so happy. And the other one, like, the one that's just started going outside again, this is a big guy. He's, like, 20 pounds. And he is always very slow moving. We call him a big, big slothy thing. And then all of a sudden, like, a string will move, and he is just on it. It's pretty funny what moves, you know. Kitten lady. I love that you're looking. Oh, toilet paper roll. Totally. There's been an orange cat trying to kind of meet our cats lately, and we didn't think there were any other cats in the area because it's so rural. And Cricket's like, well, I don't mind adopting this cat. I kind of need a cottage cat. I'm like, what the heck? This could be someone's cat. What are you talking about? She goes, oh, I didn't even think of that. Oh my God. All right, so let's see. 9 1/4, 13 3/8, so 21 inches. Yeah, so I can do this on the half here. So I'm gonna make it straight for now. I don't have my long ruler. All right, and then let's do the width we want. We want 1.5 inches plus our seam allowance, which is 5/8 plus 5/8. Can't believe I'm sticking with 5/8. So what is it? 1.5 inches plus 1 1/4. So that's 2 3/4, right? 1.5 and 1 1/4. 2 3/4. So we'll have a left waistband and a right waistband. Now, if you want a curved waistband, you can technically lay your pants on the table and draft the waistband along that curve, but that curve won't be that significant. What I would do is, take your pattern and, I don't remember the like default number that you would do. If this was your center back, going to your center front, I'm trying to think how much the default would be if this is center back. So this is the half of the waistband. Is it 3/4 of an inch? Like, you could just start with that. So raise your center front 3/4 of an inch, and then that's your new line, like that. I don't know. Or the reverse. But if you're going to put this on the fold, you need to start from the center back. That's why I did that. Your mom makes. Oh, barn cats they have a pretty specific personality, those barn cats. Sewing and kittens. I love it. That's some good stuff, Ray. You're not spending time in toxic gaming streams like me. Okay. So let's put my center back line here. And this will be my left front for now. So we're going to start from the center back. I'm going to add 5/8 of an inch. Here we go. I normally would never do that wide, but we'll stick with the pattern. All right, so we're going to put our back. So now you're just going to mark off these sections that we just measured, right? We're gonna do this very simply. So a little less than 7 3/4. It's better if you have a really sharp pencil, which I kind of am losing my sharp. And you're gonna do you can do the top and the bottom, but really all you need is the waist. You just need this one here. You don't need any notches along this top edge because you're not sewing that to anything but itself, and you're gonna have the center as your guide for sewing it together. So, Kitten Academy. Do you ever watch the like Super Bowl day, the puppy bowl? Is that what it's called? 4 1/8 for the side. And then this is the left front, so 9 1/4 plus, right? Yep. This is the left front. Yeah. This is right. I was thinking I might be putting the notches on the wrong edge. Okay, so the only reason you would want to measure these off is so that you can make sure you have a perpendicular spot right here, you know? Unless you have a really good way to get your lines square. No matter how hard I try, and I've got a lot of tricks up my sleeve, doing this using this small of a ruler to get a right angle is never as accurate as it can be. So, all right, so we have our 5/8 here, we have our 5/8 here and here, we don't have it at the center front. And now we have our side panel, our center front. We could put that notch where the pocket is, but I feel like that'll be distracting. We're just going to focus on these right here. So now we have our left front, and then we can use this to draft our right front because it just needs to be a little bigger. And you could also do it this way. You could carry these lines like this, do the same width, the 2 3/4, like this. I do a few, don't ever just do 2. You'll be shocked how many times you will be 1/4 of an inch off on one by accident. Maybe that's just me. It also, if you're using too short of a ruler, it gives you more spots to be straight. Straighten out here, this. And so now we have this line here, right? And now we need it to be 2 inches bigger. And then we have our right front, but the notches are on the opposite side. So, you know, we have our first one right here. I could have used that and drawn a straight line, but we'll just pretend like it wasn't there. Your side, 4 1/8, and then this should be the 11 1/4 plus 5/8, and it is. Let's make sure here. This looks a little wide. Yeah, it looks a little wide right there. Lost my cap. And I wrote this above this one, so this is the right front and this is the left front. And you're going to need 2. You're going to need an outer and a lining. And so you could do the lining in a contrast fabric or in a lining material. I like mine inside and out to be the exact same fabric. So you just got to make sure you keep them straight when you're cutting them out and sewing them on. But it's pretty obvious when you have one that is 2 inches longer. Whoa, I'm a little off there. All right, so now we have our waistband, and I did a straight one. We'll just keep it nice and simple. And so now when we go to sew it, we just need to figure out our elastic amount for the back. And I will probably do the elastic all the way through the side panel. So it'll only be, there will not be elastic on the front, but there will be on the side panel and on the back. I keep thinking I have something like gross on my finger, and it was that little remnant of tape. It was kind of driving me nuts. So then now we have our right front and our left front and our center back seam. Does this need to be cut off? It does, right? Yeah. Always make sure you cut off the lines you need to cut. I'm gonna do my notches and see. Oh yeah, I need to cut both of those. Alright. And then we have, this one needs to be trimmed off as well. Alright. So now we have the left front and the right front, and they're 2 inches different. Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could totally do that. Yeah, the only thing with this though is that it's a facing, not a waistband. So it would be the exact same silhouette as the pant, as if the pant continued up. So, meaning, you know, the pant pattern was probably like this, right? And then there's the side, there's the front, here's the back, center back right there. So this is half of the pant. So, right, so before this was the face, it was a facing. That was it went up to the top of the pant. And so we cut it off because the facing gets sewn to that. So if you use the facing, basically what you're saying is here's your pant, and that would be your waistband. It would be that same shape. Yeah, and see, look at it. It is exactly like that. Can you see that? So I'll compare it to, see that? So you could, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. It would be a really great experiment to see how that shape of a facing works for you and for that. Be easier, right? Hi, Daphne. How's it going? Do I cut interfacing for bands the same size as you cut off the seam allowance? Interfacing for bands. I don't know what that means. Bands. Waistband? Oh, do I cut interfacing the same size as the waist? I do the same size. I just do one layer though. I understand what you mean. Okay, trying to think of anything I have to add to that. Yeah, you would, if you use this, all you need to do essentially is you need to make a right and a left, because this is cut 2, right? Cut 2 opposites. One of them would need the fly extension. Yeah. Yeah. So don't forget that part, Jan. So if you use this, make sure you add your fly extension to the right front. Yeah, I think the shape would be really nice. That would be, I actually really love the idea of that too. But now you know how to draft a waistband. Yeah. If you want, I could cut it I could cut mine out that way. We could try it. I'm always up for experiments, right? And so, do I have everything now? I think I have everything except that I wanted to check my, I want to check how my fly shield will work on there. It goes to the other front, but doesn't matter. The fronts are the same. Because see, like I'm missing a little bit right there. So I think I'm going to add a little to that. And then I also want to look at if this is sewn here. I think it could be a little shorter. Making sure that this kind of lines up nicely, you know? Yeah, but Jan, that would be easy, right? All you do is add a 2-inch parallel line to that. That would be it. You could do that as you're cutting it out if you didn't want to have to draft a pattern piece. And just make sure then you cut 2 and 2, whereas this one you only cut 2 total. So you need 2 lefts, 2 rights, because it's a waistband now, not a facing. I would like a clean piece of paper. These ginger jeans I have here are, I want to say they're the high waist version. Is that what they're called on there? I think theirs are high waist. Is that what it is? So I know it's appropriate for these because these are pretty high waisted. See, now I have that little tail, because if I didn't do that and I stitched this down and I forced it up there, I might get a funny little pull with the fly. And I don't like anything pulling funny there, because it just starts, you know, it looks funny if you notice it, and it's harder to sew, and the zippers are, as a material, they're kind of unforgiving, right? So once you start attaching them to something, you gotta do what the zipper wants. All right, so I don't need this now. And I think I'll make a pattern piece for myself here, so that in the future, if I want to make these again, I don't have to wonder where I got this thing. You won't screw it up, Jan. I mean, a waistband, basically, you know, honestly, you can just make it, cut it out the width you need and make it extra long, sew it on to your waistband, and chop it off, whatever's left over. If you really want the easiest experience, you know, you just need to make it long enough to go all the way around your waistband, and then you trim off the extra. I've definitely seen that done in factories. That would be such a budget factory thing to do, except they wouldn't want to spend the money on the fabric that fell on the floor that they cut off. But I would not be surprised if there is, they have waistband made, and then it's just on a spool, and then they put it on. Like, I've seen all kinds of crazy things on how to deal with stuff like that. So that could be, I mean, why not, right? You just have all that waistband pre-made, the top seams all sewn, maybe even there's belt carriers already on it. I doubt they would do that, actually, because they have a bar tack machine for that. And then they put it on in one, right? And they don't sew it and then turn it and do all that hoo-ha. It's like a machine that does it, and then they, yeah. Yeah, right, Jan? I mean, why not? As long as you aren't stretching out your waistband as you go. But, you know, the thing is with this, you have the elastic in the back to kind of smooth over any of those little boo-boos. And I'm fine with that. All right, so let me get rid of some of my pattern pieces here off the table and clean it all up a little bit. So next week is 100 Acts of Sewing week. I'm going to be making dress number 2 for a friend, and pants number 1. I'm going to be doing both. Really, because I just really wanted to do those pants, and I think someone else wanted those too. The 100 Acts of Sewing patterns are really great for beginners. They're really versatile. They come in a lot of sizes. She's a really lovely person to support too. Oh, and I started getting giveaway things for August. Kind of excited. Really, Terry? Did they really? See, I called it. Yeah, I mean, I think, like, personally, like, if I were to hire myself out, right? If I had to, like, go back to work, which I would love to go back to work, honestly. I just can't find work in this area. and I were to have to say what my strengths were, it would be in streamlining. Streamlining, production, and options for that. And so the fact that I came up, thought of that on the fly, I bet there's even more amazing things they do for stuff like that. Right. That's not dirty. That's practical. As long as yeah, and as long as like I say, you're not stretching out your waist as you go, because I would put a stay stitch in that waist seam before you stitch the waistband on there. The waistline on this pattern does have a bit of a curve. I just kept that. And then we were just talking, Barbara, about why I didn't just use the facing as a waistband, which you could do. You just need to add the fly extension. And then the waistband would be shaped like this, like one half of it. This would be the front, this would be the back. It would follow the curve of the waist already, right? So the one I constructed, though, the one I drafted, is a full-on old school straight waistband. Just straight up rectangle. Bye, Sydney. Have a good day. Yeah, you're going home now, huh? You're like me. You only watch streams when you're working. We're so bad. We're so naughty. All right, where's my other pieces? All right, so let's label my pieces here. We're going to call these the slacker shorts. Slacker shorts. From pockets. And so the way that this one is constructed, the pockets, one layer, and they're stitched to the pants, so you don't have a separate pocket bag, which is a lot. I like to construct pockets like that a lot. You see me do those cutaway pockets. This dress, I love the pockets being stitched to things. So, you know, this is right up my alley. All right, so I think it's size 12. Yeah, you're going to wait for me to mark all my pattern pieces because I'm a good example. Yeah, smooch the kitties. I wonder why it's called a fly. I feel like I learned that once, maybe, but I don't remember if I did or not. All right. So what do you guys want? You want me to do the waistband facing as a waistband, or the straight up one? Because I'm up for either. I don't know which. I have 3 rotary knives on the table. I don't know which one is sharp. Putting all my tools away off the table so that I can do cut it out. I like to hang my scissors up because I'm always worried they're gonna fall. All right, so I always get everything ready. I'm gonna do. I really want this, but I know it's really dark for you guys. I'm hoping the pattern pieces being on the fabric will help. I'm going to lighten it up a little bit once I get it all unfolded. This is a weird shaped piece of fabric though. I am scraping the barrel for fabric, you guys. I'm really trying to just use what I have. Okay, I can get 2 fronts there. I just don't know if I can get the panel. But I can do this. I don't know. Maybe I can't. I could do it sideways. I know I'm cutting it close. Yeah, exactly. I'm wondering if the shape would be a really good experiment, which we love doing. Let's see. This is torn right here. Can't even see it. Let me brighten it up a little bit. Let's see. And I have an overhead light today even. I just don't think anything's gonna help. See that? Maybe I should have picked a fun contrast side, you know? I know there's enough surface area here. Can I do it? Okay, if I get this. This is just this canvas I've been using from Chicken Boots, and I really like it actually. It works really great for my tamarack jacket, which is breaking in so nicely. I've used it for bags. You can see it now, that's okay. It's pretty dark. If I get this here, and then that one there. I'm gonna take a chance on that because I think I can, if I have to, I'll have to do the side panel on the cross grain. These are essentially a wearable prototype, right? Just try and get these on grain now. Cutting your pants on grain is pretty important though because of the torque factor. You don't really want your pants torquing. I know you guys want to make some torquing jokes now because of the way I say torque. 5. All right. Right. We'll have to trust. All right, I'm going to do what I say you shouldn't do because if I draw, I won't be able to see on the canvas, and I know you won't be able to see it, so I'll just be careful. Maybe I can find a cute contrast for the side. I haven't seen very many with the side panel being contrast that I really like, but maybe in a shorts size, it would be a little more palatable. Okay. Difference. I really dislike curly paper. Curly paper, man, it just drives me nuts. Okay, and the table's gonna move. I'm gonna punch a hole. I have this big hole punch to punch patterns so I can hang them up on a hook. The screen almost looks like it's black. see. If I did that there, and we'll say that this is the shape of it. Do you ever do this? And then I can get that there. I think I have enough for the two sides. Maybe here. Don't you just want to go like this? But then you'd have two of the same. Do that. Oof, it is really cutting it close. Yeah, Jan, sometimes it curls worse if I do that. Yeah, exactly. You know, maybe I will utilize this over here. That seems kind of smart because this is going in over here. If I do that. I spent a lot of time agonizing over fabric for this stream. Probably doesn't look like it, but I do. It's just like, okay, what am I willing to buy? What do I have on hand? How much time did I give myself? All right, so that works the best. And we're just gonna I'm gonna prioritize my front pockets and then the side panel and then the back pockets. That's how I'm gonna do it. So let's see, I'm gonna try and figure out if I can get this parallel to the grain by going like this. So what I can do is make this is the selvage. I'm gonna make this parallel to that fold because it's pretty off right now, right? So let's see, this is 12 1/4. Let's make it a little less so it's a little easier to manage. This is how you can find your grain line sometimes, as long as you have one selvage, you know? It is a deep berry color, maroon, like wine. Yeah. Oh, really? The TV's better than the computer screen? Okay. I'm looking on a computer screen. So this is 11 3/4 and 11 3/4, like that. And then now I can measure this line to that one. Seven and 7. All right. There we go. Still on grain. Usually I'm pretty good about prepping my paper where I will relax it on the roll like this. But it's getting down there. Like I think it's down to the last like quarter of the quarter, maybe up to 1/3 of the roll, and it'll just be squirrely. Ooh, I'm even cutting with my blade at the back. Try not to go past my pattern too much because I need every little bit. The camera on my machine will be better for this because it's closer. It won't be as much of a struggle, you know? Haven't we talked about my pattern weights? I know they seem kind of like, okay, I'm looking for chalk. I'm gonna use chalk today. I love these as pattern weights. They're my favorite, and I love that they're meta. I mean, that's kind of cool, right? But honestly, they're just really great because they're so heavy. The handle's so easy to grab. They're perfectly flat, and I don't have to have them shipped and pay the shipping on something so heavy. I have regular pattern weights. I thought I had one over here. But the irons are my favorite, and my mom will find them and get them in antique stores. And so some of these still have prices on them. But they're usually anywhere between like $8 and $22. The exact same thing. It just depends on how they're valued. Just try not to find them with rust. But yeah, I really love those things. They work really, really good. I don't have any that work better than that. So. Oh. What knives? All right. Yeah, and they're easy to find. Yeah, and I have a little tiny one. Have you guys seen my little tiny one? It's sitting over here. It's in a really weird spot. I can't grab it, but it's like this big. And I've been using that for now when I make quilt pieces. I use that at my sewing machine to press the seams. So, I love that little one for that. And I use it as a hammer. I like it better than my hammer. It's just something about that surface I don't know, it's really great. Anyway, okay. So I could do this, and get really hugged that up there, but do I want to? I have back pockets that I can probably get in here, but we need the front pockets. So I'll probably need to do this. Let's see these panels on here, because maybe what I do is like that and like that. Yeah, I got it. Okay. And then hopefully I have back pockets. Oh, okay. You don't have. Oh, I wasn't using it as a pattern weights. I thought you meant the irons. I use them to outline the shape. I don't know how I had 3. I've only ever had 2 of these, and then I bought one, and then I have another as a gift, so I have 4 right now, and I have the small one. Usually I use 2. I have one over here, one over there, but I haven't been managing them very well. Okay. Do this, and then we'll flip. Right? So let's just cut out 2 at the same time. Oh, but we need to save fabric, so we can't do that. But we could do this. We could. No, I'm not even going to take a chance. I'm just going to cut it out individually. Yeah, I know. To be fair, I've had 2 of these. Like this one here. Look at how dingy this is. I've had them since they came out. So I really should replace them. And that was my effort. I bought one new one because I wanted to see what it was like. And it's not as good. It's definitely not as good. It's not the old school way. So I'm trying to get rid of old equipment, but I still use it. I still like it better. So I've gotten my money's worth out of them, that's for sure. Because I've had them for 20 years. I didn't even know they still made them in yellow. All I ever see is people with these really cute colored ones. You know? teasing me. That's what I'm here for. Take it all out on me, you guys. I'm down for it. Oh, and I should say, like, one of the reasons I'm doing the 100 Acts of Sewing is that really lovely online shop Beyond Measure is doing a sew along for the whole month, and she does some really great giveaways. And that's a UK based shop. I am not sponsored or anything like that, but I like her a lot, and I like the things she sells. She has some very unique things and very good quality things. So, you know, if you guys want to sew some 100 Acts of Sewing and then participate in her giveaways, you can. I think I just went over a clump of thread and I got a little panicky that I just cut into one of my pieces. You know? Watch Jeremy awkwardly cut this out, because that's what this is amounting to right now. Alright, so where's my notches? There's my notches. There's my notches. Right? Put those away. Here's one of my thank you notes. Okay. At least we have matching pockets and sides at this point. No, it doesn't hurt my hand. The reason I have the ergonomic one is someone was really kind in saying, hey, I got you this because I thought you could use something different than what you use is to change your hand position. I like it. It's on the other table out there. It's actually sharp too. I have this one. I'm just checking the fabric, making sure I'm cutting the right one. There we go. I think I just basically pulled off a magic trick with this fabric. So I have these two pieces here. My waistband! Urgh. All right. I might be doing a contrast waistband. I always forget the waistband. All right, so I have these, I have these. I have this pocket. And I have a waistband, which would fit right here. And I could do outer fabric and then a lining fabric. I would really like some back pockets. If I can. I can do the fly and the fly shield in a different fabric. This is a freaking miracle. I may even have some scraps somewhere. All right. Okay, I got at least the outer waistband. All hopes of grain line right now are a little bit, I'm not doing so good on that, am I? I did pre-wash it at least. My new washer and dryer, it's not brand new, it's just the one that came with the house. It sings a song at the end of the load. Our old one used to do like I can't even remember now. It would do like tones, like a little bit of a tone, but this has a whole song it plays. And it gets stuck in my head, and I hear it everywhere though in the house. It's not even that loud, but I don't know how I feel about it. Yeah, that was a miracle. We'll see. At the end of the day, these are kind of a prototype, right? And I'm using this last bit of canvas that I have in this color. All right, so we have that. That. Put my pattern piece away so that I know I'm done with it. This is it. This is it. Where's the... I'll see if I can do the shaped one, but there might not be enough room. Let's see. So we have 1 and 2. So I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? Dang it. I'd have to do it off grain by a lot. You see that? Is it a LG? It is! It is! I told my husband, I said, when the song happens, I'm like, now I want to fold the laundry so bad. It just puts me in the mood. It's just like that kind of weird little sing a happy tune, you know? Yeah, I think I may have to stick with my I can't get that in there. I'd have to turn. It's okay if you turn it. A lot of people even put their waistbands on the bias. I'm not a fan of bias waistbands for me. I don't like my waistbands stretching out over the day. Just kind of the way I drafted it. All right, well, the sewing will be the same, so there's that. And we can just try that another time, because now I want to do it too. I'm kind of intrigued. I'm going to write a note to myself on this pattern to say to try the shaped one sometime. Probably use this little raw edge here. Nope. Oh, I got back pockets. Don't have a fly shield yet, though. I might be able to get it on this piece. It's like miracle time. Where's that go? I mean, it's good I don't have a ton of any like mystery splices in here. That would have made it a little bit rougher, you know? Right, Ray? I know. They really did. This is the one that needs a blade. Okay. This one's pretty new. And I'll just need to find something to use as the inner waistband, because you need 2 of each. I have this identical canvas in other colors. I have it in like navy blue and black. And I didn't pick those because I thought they'd be hard to see on camera. So, and they would have been. Stop pushing. I'll also do interfacing. I like a very rigid waistband. I know that is not for everybody. You can do whatever you like. The bias is totally fine. I just don't like my waistbands stretching out over the day. But a lot of people like that it's kind of like having an elastic waistband. So, nope, not a lot. Alright, so that's funny. She has a newborn. I'm just happy that this laundry is so much faster than my old one. Even my mom was like, God, your laundry takes forever. And we learned that one of the reasons was because there was that little trap that hadn't been cleaned out. And there was literally like a $1 bill in there, and well, you just don't want to know, honestly. It was bad. But that helped because then it would drain. It wasn't draining very good, and that's why, because that little trap was full. At least with this new machine, the trap has a little door, and you don't have to take apart the whole machine to get to it. But it did give us a sense of accomplishment, and YouTube for the win, man. And the kind person who did a tutorial on it. Alright, so there are notches for here. You know, I actually put those notches and I didn't check to see were they the finished pocket height, and they're not, I can tell. At least we know about where we want our pocket. Alright, so now all we have are these two pieces. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Look at that. I mean, you know, I could, right? It's a little off grain. I could see it. I think it's going to still be contrast fabric, though. Oh! Look! Doo-doo-doo. Always check the floor. Look at that. This is the grain, though. That'll be okay, though. It's just my fly shield. It's not even a part that fits me, you know? It's just a extension. I did it. I want to sing the Dora song, man. I can see my grain line, which helps a little bit, but I can feel it too. This isn't a twill, it's a duck. So the weave looks more like a plain weave, really. Which I like. No, I don't think they really do matter. This one needs interfacing. I might interface this. I don't need to, probably. If I do, maybe I'll only do half. Alright, well that was close. So I still need, let's see, interfacing, lining pieces, some interfacing for that. But that's it. We're good. Let's stack up our pattern pieces, because I like doing that. Got my side. I could actually take a picture for Instagram too. Maybe it'll look better on there. So my fronts and my backs. I haven't used a chalk like that, really, have I? I've had that chalk for a while. So I like to stack mine by how I'm going to sew them together. So where'd my pockets go? These are my pockets. Pockets, flies, back pockets, front, sides, back, waistband. We're good. Mickey Clubhouse. All right, you guys. Always check the floor. Yeah, we're good to go. So we're making the free range slacks into shorts, zipper front fly with elastic back, whereas they were fully elastic. And we'll talk about the elastic proportion tomorrow. I don't even know if I have 1.5 inch wide elastic. Oh, I don't think I do. Yeah. Let's look at the schedule too. So for July, we're now in the green section. So I'm drafting and cutting the free range slacks. Today's July 8th on Wednesday. Tomorrow's sewing part 1 and Saturday's sewing part 2. Bye, Jan. Toodles. And then the following week, next week, we're going to cut both the dress number 2 and pants number 1. You can see those are the far left pictures outlined in blue. And then we're going to do the Fairfield button up for my husband again. I know I need more menswear patterns, but I just don't have very many to pick from. I'm going to do some men's underwear next month. I'm going to try that out. And then next month, I'm kind of morphing here and there on what I want to do. I did get this really great stack of napkin fabric, and I know, like for me, I'm like, no one wants to see me stream that. And I'm like, you know what? You never know. I have been wondering how to get a napkin without a hem that crumples in the laundry, because I'm not going to iron my napkins. And I only use cloth napkins for everything. So I haven't made any since I worked at Fabric Temptations in Humboldt County when I was 25 years old. And they've lasted the longest. They're my absolute favorites. And they were yarn dyed plaids. And I hand fringed the edge. And I just did a micro zigzag around it. And they're great. They're flat. They work really good. They're soft, but they absorb. And they don't ever need ironing. Not a smidge of ironing. So I got a bunch of really lovely... This was like someone very kindly gave me, one of you guys gave me a gift card to Stone Mountain and Daughter, and then my parents did too for my birthday. So I spent theirs on some, what I'm hoping will be some really nice napkin fabric. So I got all these yarn dyes, and look at their like stitched, and I'm gonna try them with lined. Some of these will be just a single layer, like this one here, this damask, and this one too. And I'm gonna make myself some new napkins, which I'm super excited about because we really need it. All mine drive me crazy. So yeah, right, Terry? Yeah, if you have any tips. So I don't know what my plan is with that, but that is something I really personally want. So yeah, there are more patterns in vintage men's. It's true. There's just not enough people making men's stuff. Yeah, exactly. So I might do that. I made this the other day. I've had it cut out for ages, and like a noob, I used white thread. This little mini quilt. I used this really open weave linen with a less open weave linen, and oh boy, what a little bit of a nightmare. But I like the way, I might hand stitch it. I don't know. I actually have embroidery floss that matches, which is crazy. So, and then here's some of the giveaways that I'm getting stuff. I got some labels for you guys that say handmade. I keep thinking the camera's over to my right. I got my seam ripper that I use for you guys. I got 3 books. I got 2 of Jen Hewitt's. And then I got one by Wendy Ward. And I might even make you a little sewing kit. So there's that. This next week's dress number 2 for my friend. We got that. And I got my needle sharp. It's been so long since I got a needle sharp box. I'm so excited. So I got this one, the shirt dress. The Bluette by Deer and Doe. And this really nice floral. I feel like I slowly have gotten into wearing mom clothes or old lady clothes, and oh well, I'm down. So August, and then we're going to do also underwear, which that's here somewhere too. Oh, really, Melin? Norris. That's cool. Do you know, I bet I could find that easily. Maybe I'll look him up and see kinds of patterns that he has. Ideally, I'm looking for a fabric store or fabric company or a pattern company to say, hey, do you want to sew our thing? Because then I can send it to them as well. They don't have to pay. But a lot of these bigger companies, they don't really care about me at all. So I can't really approach them. I have to, probably fabric stores are a better option because then at least they have a store sample. So it's finding those folks to give us these projects, right? Because I'll sew whatever. I want variety, and I want I want to make whatever you guys want. But if I have to buy it, I'm just going to make what I want, so, or what I need. Yeah, Norris. Okay, Norris G. I'll have to look him up. And Thread Theory has a bunch of great ones too. And then Walter uses that Gals Patterns. Well, who is that? Norris Ford. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah. Cool. That's cool. So yeah, August I think will be a thing, like kind of like a whatever I want to do for my anniversary month, and we'll see. Yeah. So anyway, so tomorrow sewing part 1 on these shorts, and we'll get through all the fronts with the zipper fly and everything, the pockets, probably the side panels, and then we'll do the backs and the waistband on Saturday. So cool. Well, thanks for coming, you guys. I appreciate it. And my daughter took a couple pictures of me wearing this dress before she left on her little trip today. So I'll post those too so you could see. I think I'm gonna make the bottom elastic tighter next time. I may even pop this out and make it tighter. I'm loving this dress though. My glasses fit perfectly in the little bib pocket. So this was the one we made on Saturday. What is this called? Elizabeth Shannon Elizabeth? What is it called? By Ellen Mason Audacier. And I kind of hacked it a little bit, like so that it would be a little more of a chore dress for me for the weekends, but I'm already wearing it. And then I made this shirt really quick after the stream. I just cut it out of my t-shirt thing and I sewed it all in a single needle, and it's yummy. So bye, Terry. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific. And thanks for coming. Thanks for supporting me. Thanks, Carol, for the Patreon subscription. That's really awesome for you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Nice to see you. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And I do sell patterns on my website, soso.live. All the links to all the videos are there. I try and keep it up to date. I'll probably update this today to include the shorts, but usually give me a few days for that sometimes. Elizabeth Shannon, thank you, Jan. And so if you're ever looking for a part 1, a part 2, or the cutting video, you found the part 2 video but not the part 1, go to the website. There's a very brief little write-up, and all the videos are linked there. It's far easier to find all of them. And sometimes I make a garment multiple times on stream, and you can see each time I've made it there. It's a little easier to deal with. So, and I'm not trying to get anything from you. That's just an easy way to deal with it because YouTube's kind of weird. So, all right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Bye.